All right, hello everyone. So the purpose of this video is to help get your computer started for your class this semester. There's a couple things you'll need, which include the Excel or from the Office 365. So that's our actual Excel files, not the Google Sheets files. We won't be, or those won't really work that well this semester. So we want the real Office 365 Excel. I'll kind of walk through some computer organization for you. That's going to be really important just for kind of both for these classes and for your future kind of organization. Also making sure that we know how to kind of open CSVs as Excel as a default, and then installing R and RStudio as well. So I'm going to walk through a couple of those things with you, just because it can be easier to kind of visualize someone else do it before you go ahead and do all of them. So the first thing is to make sure you install Office 365. This is available to you for free as a student at CSULB. So if you go to your, I guess this is kind of outdated because yours doesn't really look like this anymore. This is updated now. But when you go to your main page where we have all of our apps there or our chiclets, there should be a chiclet there called the Office 365. You can click on that and then that'll lead you to another page where you can find a button called Install Office 365. And then you can install all of Office 365, which includes Excel and Word, both very important applications we'll be using this lab. So make sure you do that before the first lab. Also, I would at some point get on your computer organization if you are not already kind of organizing things in folders. So I have a couple of videos here that you guys can click on. These are links to PC file organization and Mac file organization. They're pretty much all kind of the same ideas, but just have those there for you guys in case that's helpful to you. It's pretty much just right click and new folder, and you can kind of organize it however you want. But we want to make sure we have a folder called Bio260 where we can save all of our work there and find all of our work there. These are just steps to kind of help us with making sure our computer opens up CSV files as Excel and not like a numbers file or anything else or a text file. This usually happens with Mac users. So I have on Beachboard an example CSV that you guys can download and open. And if it does not open in Excel, then you'll want to click on this link in the PowerPoint that you have available on Beachboard and go ahead and follow those instructions. And there's instructions for both Macs and PCs in case PC users are also having the same issue. All right, and then we get into kind of the tricky part, which is installing R. A lot of people can run into some issues here. So it's best if you kind of watch this video and run through the exact steps that we're going to walk through here. So with R, we have to download both R and RStudio. R is kind of the foundational program that RStudio needs to run, but we're not actually going to use R at all. It's just going to be the foundational program that needs to be in our computer before we can actually download and use RStudio. So in this PowerPoint, you can go ahead and actually just copy and paste or click on this link here to go to the downloading R page. And again, downloading R and RStudio is all for free as well. So when you click on that, it'll bring you to a page where you can see kind of that R logo and some information here. There's lots of links. This is where you can easily get confused. But here what you want to do, and this is outlined in the PowerPoint as well, you want to click under download. You want to click this CRAN link right here. So I'm going to click on that. And then you're going to want to scroll down all the way to the United States, or I guess wherever you might be. And you want to click the closest location to you. So assuming we're all in California, the closest location to us would be Oregon. So we're going to click on that link under USA. And then depending on your computer type, you want to download the correct one. So if you have like a Chromebook or something or some other Linux user, you're going to click the Linux link. For Macs or Apple, I think just Macs, you're going to click on the Mac OS link. And then for Windows or any other PC, you're going to click on the Windows link. And then that will kind of lead you to the rest of the download procedures there. So again, you're going to click on that link and you're going to click on CRAN. you're going to scroll down to USA, click on the Oregon State University, and then select the correct one depending on the laptop that you have. And then there's going to be a button that says install R for the first time. So you're going to want to click on that. And then that should start the install process. Okay, so once you have R, then you can download RStudio. You have to do these things in this order. You have to have R first before you can download and use RStudio. So once you have R installed, then you can move on to this next slide, and you can click on this link to lead you to the page to download RStudio for free. This is somewhat of an easier task here than downloading R. A lot of times it will know what computer you have right off the bat, so you don't even have to make sure you click the right one there. So you're going to scroll down. You want to click RStudio for desktop, and I'm just going to run through those steps in the PowerPoint here. So you'll click RStudio for desktop, and then that will lead you to this page where you'll click download RStudio desktop. And then they'll lead you to this page where you'll download the free version. And then a lot of times it already knows which computer you have. So all you have to do is just click the RStudio for Windows, or it might say click RStudio for Mac OS, depending on the laptop that you have. And that should start the download process for RStudio. And that should pretty much be it. Those are all the steps you'll need to kind of get those applications installed and ready to go. Chromebook users, it can be a little bit more tricky when it comes to installing R. There's a couple options we can pursue here. So the first is you can try to install R using this link. If you click on that link, it'll bring you through a bunch of different steps to download or install RStudio onto your Chromebook. But if all else fails, then we can use RStudio Cloud. RStudio Cloud is kind of like a Google Sheets, or it's like the Google Drives, where it's kind of online server. So anyone can use it. It doesn't matter what kind of computer or laptop you have, whatever device you have, you can use it on anything. So that's very nice. The only downside to it is that it does have a limited number of hours you can spend on it per month for it to continue to be free. And we have ways to get around that. So if this becomes your last minute resort because you can't figure out how to install R on your computer or your Chromebook, we can definitely get around those little issues, and that will be okay. So it's a really simple process. All you have to do is just click on that link and then just sign up for free with your email and a password, and then you're in. So no installation needed there. I would recommend everyone also have an RStudio Cloud backup, just in case something goes wrong with RStudio, your application one day, or perhaps, if you're using another computer because your computer is not doing so hot or whatever, if you have to use another computer to get your homework done, you can always sign in into your RStudio Cloud from any computer, so you can get whatever you need to get done. So I would recommend everyone sign up with this as a backup. Okay, so this is what R looks like. That's what we were talking about when I was saying it's the foundational program. This is not the thing that we will be using. It's essentially just a calculator, and it can do things. It can process all the code that we're going to be running through this semester, but it's not really a user-friendly way to use R. So we're actually going to use RStudio, but I just want to show you this is what R looks like. This is kind of that foundational program. But again, we're going to be using RStudio. So what I want you guys to do is download the intro to R Markdown. I think it's intro to 260 R Markdown on Beachboard. And when you download that and open it up, it should open up in RStudio. If it does not, you may have to link RMD files to open with RStudio in your computer. And you can email your TA about that if you need help with that. But I think for the most part, it should just open up in RStudio. Another option you could try is by double clicking RStudio first to open it up, and then downloading the R Markdown file. So that R Markdown file should show up in here. So when you first open up RStudio, it looks a little bit something like this, slightly different. I do have some data kind of running already, so I do have some numbers in there. But it looks a little bit something like this. And this is kind of what we will be using in our lab for this semester. Looks very different from the foundational R program. Now, what you want to do is probably just open up a workspace. So we see there's typically 4 panels within the RStudio. We have our console, we have our window for that plots come up in, and you can search packages and whatnot. You have your environment, and this might not be in the same order as yours. Your console will be down here, environment will be up here. I have it switched around. And then we have our workspace up here, which you don't see, but we're going to go ahead and open up that now. So you can click on these 2 squares here to separate those 2 panels. And now we can see our workspace. For you, if you're opening up RStudio for the first time, it might look blank right here. And that's fine. Now, when you install our Intro to 260 R Markdown file, and you double click it to open it up, it should open up in RStudio. So it should look something like this. So again, this is going to be our workspace. This is where we're going to be coding and typing in. And then we're going to get outputs even just within this space as well. But you also get outputs in your console. For you, your console is going to be in the bottom here. And you have a lot of other things going on in your environment and whatnot, which we can talk about during lab. But for now, the nice thing is we are using a feature called R Markdown in R. So it's not just kind of a plain coding script. We can think of it as coding within a Word document. So we're all familiar with Word documents. We like typing in Word documents. And so that's kind of what this space is providing you. It's providing you a space to just kind of safely type as if you were typing in a Word document. And then we have what are called code chunks, which are these gray boxes here. And they're pretty much kind of encompassed by the 3 dots and the 3 dots and the R here. And so these are the areas that you're going to be coding in. These are the areas that your computer recognizes code in. So if you type code anywhere else, or you try to type normally in there without having this little pound sign in front of there, it's going to have a difficult time understanding what you want. So these areas specifically need code to go in there. Now, again, because this is like a Word document that you can code in, it also spits out the outputs right underneath the code chunks. We actually don't need all of these panels. So what I'm going to have you guys do is minimize those panels so that we can really see our workspace, and it makes it a lot less cluttered. So now we can see our entire workspace here with all the code and the code chunks. And so you guys can kind of run through all of these if you want on your own, but basically it's kind of just running through an intro of RStudio, how to use RStudio. There's a couple ways that you can run code. So that could be either just clicking on the code that you want to run and then going up to run selected lines. And then your output will show right below once it calculates 2 plus 2. It's a little bit slow at the moment. Or the other option is to put your cursor at the end of the line or anywhere on the line. And for PCs, it is Control-Enter on your keyboard. For Macs, it is Command-Enter, or I think it's maybe Command-Return. The last way you could do it is by clicking on the code chunk that you want to run and then clicking this little green play button over here. So that will also run the line as well. So there's 3 ways you can run those lines. You can play with all 3 of those ways and figure out what you like best during the lab. So what we're going to do is install some packages here. So what I want you guys to do is have these packages installed before we start working with R in lab. And so again, you can use any one of those 3 methods to run these lines. I already have them typed out for you, so you don't need to type anything. You just have to run the lines to install these packages in your RStudio. Packages are pretty much like toolboxes. So they have certain tools in them that don't come with R when we download it. And so, you know, if you have to do a certain task that you have to get a toolbox for, you're going to go to some store to buy that toolbox, right? So that's what kind of this installation process is. So I want you guys to install each of those 3 packages. It may take some time, so be patient with it. And you want to just make sure you don't start installing any packages until you know the one before it has been installed. And the way you know it's been installed is somewhere on the bottom of the output, it'll say all packages are in, and then you're good to go to install the next one. And finally, what you want to do is make sure that those packages installed correctly. So when you buy a toolbox, you don't always have it handy, right? You store it in your garage. And so if you need to use the tools in the toolbox, the nice thing is you don't have to go buy that toolbox again. You already have it. So that's what we just did. We installed those toolboxes, so we don't need to go install them again. But every time we want to use them, we have to get them from our garage. And the garage in RStudio is called library. And so every time you want to use a tool within one of those toolboxes, you have to call it using the library function. And so we're going to run these lines to make sure that there's no errors with that installation of those packages. And if you get the kind of correct output for all those packages, then you should be good to go for our next meeting. So I think that should be everything. So if you guys could just kind of run through that on your own, make sure you install those packages and you're ready to go for class, because we don't want to spend time as TAs kind of helping you install R. We want to make sure that you have it all done beforehand. That way you can kind of keep up, right? I think that should be it. So again, let your TA know if you have any questions, and we will see you next time.